Welcome back to the Springbok Dream Team show, and it's coming all the way from Paris this week because Leila Harrison tried to steal my job as you hosted last week by video calling Sia, Khaleesi live on show. Juicy J was video calling Magzola Mapimpi. So there's a lot going on when I wasn't here. That's why I had to sort of step it up and come to the Canal Plus studios, come to Paris, and some gravitas with my guests. As you can see, no Juicy J, there's no Ricky, there's no Leila.
Who are those people?
And Matthew Pierce. See, I got gravitas now.
Who are those
I got some structure. Matty, how are you?
I'm good. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va? Bienvenue à Canal Plus et Paris.
I'm wondering you could speak English. Just
Okay.
normal English like we do in South Africa.
Kooks, let's get it out the way, okay? We land in France, he does the French accent. Tomorrow he's going to be like, can I have a pasta? And then, okay, then where are we going to after Italy? Ireland. Okay, how would you do the Irish accent? Ordering a Guinness now.
Yeah, I'd like a pint.
A pint of what?
Guinness.
Okay, and then Wales.
Well, to be
We're gonna
honest,
lose you on the booze.
I don't know what I'm going to have in Wales. I'll decide when I get there.
Welsh rabbits.
Maybe.
Shimmy, you all good?
Yeah, very good, man. Yeah, good to be here. Good to be on the show. You know, at your favorite place, the canteen. I've seen you at the multi-choice offices hanging around there. You got comfortable pretty quickly here. You know.
I'm very comfortable. But you know, the real test match for me is Springboks take on France the weekend. I've been taking on the hotel buffet. Weekend,
it was a good performance.
Yeah, we are witnesses.
Witnesses. I've never seen a Toulouse sausage omelette. I don't know what was on that plate, but it was like a little hill, and then you mowed it down. It looked like that hill I fell over in Wellington, actually. But this time you were just chopping away at it. But it's a good performance, so at least you're getting your steps in there.
Man of the match.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, we've still got a few days, yeah? I mean, there's still a few pastries I've got to try. There was no bacon this morning, which frustrated me, but again, the best test players, I assume they adapt, and I adapted this morning, so...
Look, rumor has it, okay, this is the rumor going around at the hotel, that you have 2 breakfasts. You know, when I go up to go to gym at 6:30, having breakfast, when everyone gets up, you go shower and then go for another breakfast. With the team, you've got your own private, personal vibe breakfast, and then you got the second one.
Do you know what breakfast...
No comment on that one.
No, it's just the rumor going around the hotel.
Sorry to go back to the language thing, but breakfast in French is petit déjeuner, which petit is small. You got a grand déjeuner.
That's how I got twice. Yeah. Well, guys, we've got to talk some rugby. The Dream Team show now. We're moving on to the inside center position, but we got to crown our winner for number 11. It was Bryan Habana.
Yeah.
Sir Brian.
Sir Brian.
Sir Bryan Habana.
Sir Brian, you got to get it right.
Yeah.
Shimmy, any surprises? I mean,
Yeah, look. The thing is with dream teams and selections, the beauty is the debate. It's not who's wrong or right or who got chosen. It's why you like a certain player, why you have that opinion. So, look, Bryan Habana definitely, but there's a lot of other credible mentions that you would have. But the fact that it elicits debate is a good thing, and that's the beauty about sport. You know, you unfortunately like Chelsea, we like Arsenal. We'll debate that all day long. Who's the better team? And
Chelsea.
That's sport for you, exactly.
But
End of debate.
to Shimmy's point, Makazole Mapimpi and Kirtley Arendse were in the conversation. Incredible strike rates in terms of the number of tries per test matches. Kirtley added another 2 against Japan on his first game back. So he is going to come through the ranks. He's going to be part of a conversation maybe in 5-6 years' time where he's challenging the status of Bryan Habana. But that's what this Springbok environment is doing as well. This incredible depth that they're building across almost every position.
Matt, with Brian, do you think that the key thing in winning was him racing a cheetah? I mean, like, the others have not raced a cheetah yet. So do you think that, I mean, it's fine margins.
Very fine margins, yeah. I think he raced didn't he race a A380 once as well when they were launching that plane? They put it onto full thrust and they gave him a head start down a runway. He's done some pretty strange stuff, but to secure that position.
So if we see Kirtley Arendse racing against Air France this weekend, we're not going to say anything.
Then he's got it. Look, but also rugby, you know, you look at try scoring, it's not a game of personal accolades, I feel. You know, it's the generation you're in, you know, we're talking about centres today. Well, who are the centres inside Bryan Habana when he scored all those tries? You know, he didn't get the ball from the line out and run and score. Someone else had to hit the right, get the pass right, get the attacking formation correct and all of that. So it's not really a game of personal accolades. So when people say, this guy's going to catch this guy or whatever, it depends on what team you are. You know, you might be part of a hell of a successful generation and maybe not reach that record, but the team won, the country was happy, and that's what you need to celebrate.
Yeah.
No, exciting to see. Brian's in the mix now. We go to inside center, and it's a stacked category as I read the names out. I mean, our nominees, we've got David Berry, Damian de Allende, Jean de Villiers, Peter Miller, Frans Steyn, and Wayne Julies. Shimmi, I mean, that'll make most of the world teams best 12s. I mean that's a stacked group of inside centres.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and I think a lot of them have got different attributes. You know, you look at the strike running of a JDV, the power of mate, just tell the guy in French to keep quiet at the back, please. In your best French.
He's getting my order.
Exactly. But you know, there's power. Wayne Julies' distribution. You know, Peter Miller, the strength. So every guy's got different attributes, but there are key fundamentals between 12 and 13 that you need to have, you know, in terms of international rugby.
Interesting that Peter Miller, we're talking about the last 30 years in this dream team selection, but Peter Miller actually made his debut in 1992 when South Africa first came back into international rugby. He lined up alongside Dani Gerber in the test match against New Zealand in 1992 for his first cap. And obviously then he came back into the mix later on, but he was there from the start of readmission.
Listen, you mentioned Dani Gerber. The guys in dispatch are ready for next week.
Yeah,
They're ready for us to discuss. They lined up. Whether we're going to sneak him in there. He didn't play 95, but Dani Gerber, then
the internet's going to crash in dispatch.
Listen, it's Geert Rassie and Dani Gerber. But you talk about like unsung heroes. I mean, you mentioned guys like, you know, Peter Miller, like Wayne Julies, Shimmi, someone you've seen and played in that gap between De Wet and Jean. I mean, that's two centers. Chances weren't coming as you'd like, but again, you're fighting against some of the best 12s.
Yeah, and don't forget Frans Steyn in the mix there. Yeah. Also, he was at inside centre. So look, yeah, it's just a generational thing. But also the guys, you know, it also depends on how much game time you get. You know, also that. But in terms of distribution, probably one of the best we've seen.
Talk about Frans Steyn. Mate, you've seen a lot of Frans Steyn. You two, Shimmi, I mean, he's down as a 12. He's played 10 for the Springboks. He's played on the wing. He's played 15. Do you think 12 is his best position?
Well, I think probably his most memorable position because of the way he came into the mix. If you think back to 2007, shortly after his test debut, he was 19 years old. Jean de Villiers got injured at a World Cup. That's a surprise. Poor Jean. We feel for him genuinely as a friend, as a colleague, the injuries he sustained at Rugby World Cups. And somebody had to step up into that role. And it happened to be a 19-year-old Frans Steyn with a lot of hair. And in a World Cup final here in Paris, he kicks a crucial penalty to take the Boks out beyond one score. In that final against England, with the pressure on him, and it was almost a 50-metre kick that he goaled to get the Boks into that lead. So very special to be able to step up under that kind of pressure at that age and to deliver. And that really put him on the map. His versatility would come almost later in the day, and you're quite right, to have played in 4 different starting positions across the back line for South Africa is quite something.
Yeah, it's you know, it's this trendy term now, generational talent, you know. Frans Steyn would be there, so would JDV, so would be Damian de Allende, all these guys, you know, the guys that we're talking about. But for me, Damian de Allende, same as Jean de Villiers, one of these guys, he was too good not to have in the squad, you know. I remember he started off, I remember playing against him when he was at the Sharks, he played wing, and I don't know who this guy was. The next thing was in the Springboks, and he shot the lights out. But definitely multi-talented, but his decision-making, you know, in terms of size, a big guy, I could get over the gain line, but always his decision-making was spot on, whether it was at fullback or at centre. He just had that ability as a player just to adjust to what position you need. The same way as JDV covered wing, for example, whereas you find Damian de Allende can cover 12 and 13. Wayne Julies was an out-and-out 12, probably 13 to a certain extent. The other guys could cover different positions and do it well. Frans Steyn is probably the one guy that could cover 10. You know, Jean de Villiers always rip him off about his kicking game, that he can't do it. But Frans Steyn is the one guy that could cover all the positions.
And because of that, it's important to mention, as part of the discussion around Frans, he really was the player that allowed the introduction of a 6-2 split on the bench. No one had done it before. He had that versatility that allowed Rassie Erasmus to say, actually, okay, we've got a player here who can cover so many bases, we can go with the extra forward. And so he was critical in that.
No, 100%. And, you know, we talked about, I mean, Frans Steyn's good made at 9, Rowan Pienaar, I mean, how gifted he was. Would you guys say arguably that Frans Steyn is probably one of the most talented players to play the Springboks because of the range, the long boot, the size. I mean, he can play multiple positions, Matt.
How long is a piece of string?
I agree. Yeah, definitely. 19 years old, kicking that in a World Cup, covers all 3 positions, win 2 World Cup, goes to France, kicks that monster drop kick, remember, for Racing Metro. In terms of talent-wise, he's definitely up there. We're not saying he's the most talented, but he's definitely up there.
No, I would agree, but it's so hard. This is the thing that Shimmi's saying. These individual accolades are really hard, because how do you compare in a rugby environment the contribution of a Frans Steyn to the contribution of an Oxenchair? At Loosehead, he's in a lot of conversations right now. Sorry, I know we're talking about centres, but as a potential World Player of the Year for his scrumming prowess and what these individuals bring to their roles within a rugby team then adds up to the overall success of the team. But yes, I mean, for his multi-talented contribution, exceptional, almost unique.
Very unique. And we want to talk combination. I think, the public, when they're talking about centres, it's all about combinations. They speak about JDV and Jacques Free and de Allende and de Allende and Creel. But before that, David Berry and Maurice Joubert. Shimmi, you saw that. I mean, you played with them. I mean, David Berry, no one was running their channel. I mean, there's no one. He made a reputation of just smoking oaks week in, week out.
Yeah, I remember when was it? We're in Australia. And I think he had gone to Hillsong, and there was an article, they were calling him the Hillsong hitman. But he was, I still remember, look, Tivet, it's quite weird, because he'd make the Springboks, and then somehow they'd change the team, and he'd be out, and then there'd be trouble. They'd call him back in, and he'd just fix business, you know what I mean? In terms of defensively, he got good gain line. Tivet's a big guy, got you over the gain line. Him and Marius combined well as a combination, So it always, you look at Tim Horan, Jason Little, Manonu, Conrad Smith. So the combination's important as a centre, though. But David Berry, you could not run through him. He could run over you. And probably the only aspect would probably his distribution, where you turn around and say maybe not the greatest, but he did as the core job of a centre in terms of playing off the top with a vacuum attack. He was one of the first guys to do it, and he did it bloody well.
And opponents hated the sight of that scrum cap heading towards them and just dipping towards their hips. Not a good sight.
I think he broke the mold for the scrum caps. Now Kirtley and Chesden upon heads for different other reasons, because they're about to get sidestepped. But we've got to talk about JDV. I think, the debate now, I think most guys of JDV, de Allende. I mean, Jean de Villiers, do you think 109 caps, and with those injuries, you could have probably led the charge of being the most capped Springbok. But Shimmi spoke about this on the way. They went up the last one against Marnon, Sterling Mortlock. He played 12 and was one of the best 12s in the world in probably the strongest era of number 12s.
Yeah, you got probably one of the greats, definitely one of the great Springbok centres. But you got to look at the tries Jean de Villiers scored. He had incredible pace. That's why at wing, speed off the mark, the ability as a strike runner, not to run for contact, to run for the hole, to offload and get the guys going through him. Always dangerous with the ball in hand. I still remember that try against England in Bloemfontein. He got the ball on the halfway and just weaving, and the defenders were going around him. Ended up scoring that try. But without, I think he had 4 knee ops or whatever. Sure. You take those. It happens in rugby. You take those out the mix. That's another 20, 30 test matches. Yeah. You look at the World Cups that he was out of. That's where you get most of your test matches. You add that up. That's what 7
test matches.
Yeah, exactly. So he definitely, in terms of caps, he definitely would have had a lot more. But injuries happen to everyone.
I think his mental fortitude. I speak about this a lot. Shimmi knew JDV as a player. I worked with him when he was a captain, but now we are colleagues and we are friends. And he is this very light-hearted, happy-go-lucky kind of character, which is incredibly endearing. But the mental strength...
Not really.
Yeah, I know he is.
He's okay.
I'm not having that from you.
He's okay. He's a nice guy.
JDV, I got your back.
Cheers.
The thing for me is to have that mental fortitude to go through 4 ACL operations, to come back time and time again, and then to have that one less than a year out from the 2015 Rugby World Cup and to do the work to get back for another World Cup, and then the broken jaw against Samoa at Villa Park.
Was that from talking or from rugby?
In Birmingham. And that was it for him. And I remember Kooks doing an interview with him in Newcastle ahead of the Scotland game in that World Cup, where I was given 20 minutes notice to set up because Jean was leaving the World Cup. He was injured. He was ruled out for the rest of the tournament. He had to go. And the media manager phoned. He said, if you want to speak to JDV, you need to come now. And we set up a camera, and we spoke for almost an hour on camera, and it was just such an authentic discussion to see tangibly what the game had meant to him, and after all the fighting back, but this was now it. But what a servant of South African rugby as a player, as a captain. Incredible.
And now looks after.
Do you have any tissues on you? Do you have any tissues on you?
I'm just trying to be serious for a second.
Do you have any tissues in you, Kooks?
I mean, like, it touched me.
Okay,
you hit the
good.
spot in Paris.
I'm glad.
No, you hit the spot.
I'm glad.
There's
Some serviettes in the canteen.
Well, the hardest job now is that you listen for Shimmi now. That's JDV's hardest job. So make sure.
No, JDV's a good player, good man also. Look, and you look at, we spoke about it earlier, the fundamentals, the difference between 10 and 12. You know, it's the eyes for the flower. That's why if you've got an inexperienced 10, you've got an experienced 12, he's always the chat around the fly. If there's space, there's a bit of trouble, give me the ball. I'll get over the gain line, we can start playing from the space out wide, get the ball out early, or skip me, get it to the 13 a little bit earlier. Defensively, that 12 channel is busy. You got the loose forwards or 5-man lineouts, 4-man lineouts. You got to organize the inside players off you. If your 10 isn't brave enough, you got to be that. You and the loose forwards have got to handle that business there. So it's a hell of a physical position. You look how big Andre Esterhuizen, Damian de Allende, Jean de Villiers is a big guy. It's a busy channel up there. So that's why 12 is crucial. There's nothing better than the forwards. You go straight, skip 10 to your 12. He goes over the gain line. You come around the corner, momentum. You've beaten the fold. Because the 12 has done the hard work there, you get momentum. There's a try in the corner. Brian Abana scores in the corner. But it started off with a 12 there. So 12 is a crucial position.
Brian won't say that the way it started.
Yeah, 12. And also the distribution, the ability. You look at a guy, Dick Muir, when he played under Nick Mallet, they beat Frans here, I think, by 50 points. I think Dick Muir was the starting inside center. Because of his distribution, the ability to get the timing right, to hit the line, made everyone in that back line look good. So 12 is crucial.
You talk about distribution. A player that the public will fight, used to have issues and fight with him, Damian de Allende, the players say it, and the coaches say he's probably the best passer in the Springbok camp. But when Damian de Allende started, people said he was a ball hog, just held on the ball. Probably the public didn't love him sort of until 2019 World Cup, but now probably, Matt, one of the most important Springboks we have, and a guy who seems like he's getting better year in, year out.
Yeah, and also just looking back to 2015 Rugby World Cup when JDV got injured, it was a very youthful Damian de Allende who had to step into that role in a World Cup very early in his career and did a fabulous job in partnership with Jesse Creel. They are now the most capped centre combination starting for the Springboks. And I agree with you. I think Damian has been misunderstood because of the role he's been asked to play. So to Shimmi's point, there are a few better at getting you over the gain line and giving your forwards that ability to come round the corner with some momentum over the gain line. But I always say to my friends who ask me after a tour, I say this guy is genuinely, off left and right, one of the best, most accurate passes of a rugby ball we've ever seen. Manie Libbok is certainly stepping up to maybe take that accolade, and there are now a lot of them. They've worked incredibly hard on the passing skill and the speed of the pass. But he really is the full package and one of the most reliable players. He's heading towards 100 test caps now himself, and he really was the heir apparent to JDV. And what I love about Damian as well is he didn't go to, like I suppose a number of this current generation of Springboks, not a recognised so-called traditional rugby school, but he went to Alan Zondag's academy out in Riebeek Kasteel, and they said this kid's got something, and he ended up in John Dobson's Varsity Cup side, and he caught the eye there, and within a year, I think Shimmi was playing Stormers rugby,
yeah.
and a year from that he was playing Springboks. That talks to an incredible natural ability that is coachable.
He's got attitude, man. He's the pit bull in the midfield. You want momentum. It's a tough game, but also he's got the ability to break the line and get that ball out. Once he's done it, he is the complete package. Look, I don't know why people. It's the whole thing of the 12. It's probably just coaching. It's got nothing to do with them. It's listening at this position. You're going to take the ball up, win that rack. I'll give you a good example. Esterhuizen when he started off at the Sharks to when he went to Harlequins, became a totally different player. Yes. And that was coaching. It had nothing to do with him. All of a sudden, he wasn't the go-to guy. Said, listen, get the ball, take it flat, play it off Marcus Smith around there. So he transformed his game completely. You know, Damian de Allende, when he's given the license to thrill, he can do it. But the reality, sometimes you get tight test matches. You saw him against, I think was it against Wales, where he broke the line once or twice in a tight test match. So in terms of toughness and power, is there, but the finesse is definitely there. We just haven't seen a lot of it, but he is your go-to guy there.
We still went to Ike's. I mean, so
yeah.
That's
why he can pass. That's why he can pass.
We gotta get a vote in, and you guys at home, please scan the QR code, vote for who's going to be number 12. Shimmi has to vote for John because he's under contract to do so. So we're gonna make sure. But if you to vote, Matt, who's getting in at 12 in your Springbok Dream Team?
Look, right now, JDV is hard to overlook. Springbok captain, 109 test caps, but for me, Damian de Allende is snapping very, very closely on those heels.
Shim?
I'd go with JDV. You know, look at, again, you know, you consider who, you know, facing the non-news, the Mortlocks, and that's out of his control. It's just a generational thing, but I would go for JDV, Damian de Allende. And Frans Steyn, for me, is a strange one because he could play 12. He did bloody well at the World Cup, but he was more utility, you know what I mean, in terms of 12, 13. And so it would be JDV, Damian, and then probably Frans Steyn.
Frans Steyn makes your bomb squad dream team.
Yeah,
that's
it.
Yeah, that's what
bomb squad, yeah.
I think for me, as Matt's coffee is about to, his latte is about
it's your milkshake.
which is brewing over there. I've got JDV as well. I think it's just for me, like, I still think he's our best centre after we produce him in the rugby you played. As a captain, went to another level. I think Damian de Allende is snapping on the heels. You never know, maybe as a third World Cup, and then it's a different conversation. But talking this weekend, you guys ready? Matt, I mean, the French are coming. We'll be listening to you guys, but it's going to be loud on there.
It certainly is. There's nothing quite like a test match in France. We experienced it in Marseille in 2022 when we lost a very tightly contested test match, and a year later at a Rugby World Cup in Stade de France, we won a quarter-final by a point. The noise in there, the pre-match entertainment, it is real. The atmosphere is fantastic, and given what happened in 2023, this test match has something extra special already. Then you layer on top of that the fact that it's going to be Siya Kolisi's 100th test match, and you have a very special occasion loading.
Revenge factor?
Yeah, look, there will be its emotion will only carry you so long. The reality is you got to win your line-outs, have your kicking strategy, what you're going to do from midfield scrums, left hand, right hand, attack in the 22. So there's a lot more dynamic outside that. But when you're putting on your national jersey, emotion comes in anyway. You know, I think the French are you know, it's hard for us to pick up the mood in there. It's a lot of guys in South Africa saying the French just, so you read about that. But the reality is it's a massive test match. The French have been looking forward to this. They're playing at home. You know, the same way if someone had beat us, if France had beaten us in a World Cup quarterfinal in South Africa, and they were coming back to South Africa, what would the chat be? You know, you got to look at it. You got to try to switch it up sometimes and look at it from a different perspective. So yes, they want revenge and they want that, and we want to turn around and say, listen, here, we'll show you. You guys didn't give us the credit for winning the World Cup. We'll come and do it again, and that's what makes it exciting and interesting and a great week.
No, looking forward to it. And Shim, before we get to the game, I need you to WhatsApp me a play-by-play eating plan because the game is at 9. I'm used to 5 o'clock kickoff, so which pace is
dangerous
at the stadium, which ones to avoid, so I can talk clearly. So that's what I need from you just before Saturday, so I can be structured.
No, it's exciting. Look, Japan was good last week, but again, Wembley, big stadium, not a full house. This is a completely different atmosphere. I think when they say beginning of the year, Springboks are playing France, you're like, tech, that's the one I want to be at. And we're here. It's going to be fun. It's going to be festive. I'll just make sure I put you on a croissant ban.
I've also put my croissant ban. But that's it from us for the Dream Team. Go and vote for your number 12. And we're looking forward to a fantastic week. Box taking on France this weekend. Make sure you get your votes in. And next week, we are back in studio. We're talking everything number 13. But until then, bye for now.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Oh, no.